So today I thought I'd explore how to do research here at the County of Santa Barbara, but it's more about a pattern I've seen with some people that have worked for me, and it could be, possibly generational. It could be a mindset. I know even with employees I've had that are older than me, they'll miss this because sometimes they're more tech focused. We all know now that the counties have GIS systems, and so you go to the GIS and use that. But what you see on the screen now is a project I'm researching, and it doesn't matter what lot it is, but I've got the green highlighted lots numbers, and those are different from the orange highlighted numbers in that the orange highlighted numbers are the assessor's parcel number, and the green highlighted numbers are lot numbers that the assessor has put in there that indicate the vesting map lot number, not the assessor's parcel number. Now they might be the same number, like in 28 over here, right? But a lot of times they're not. Like this is 9 and 39, 10 and 40. So this green highlighted number is the vesting map number. So it would be, in this instance, most likely this book 15, page 21. So one of the things I want to highlight is sometimes, and not so much these types, but some of the lots where it's this pre 18, this late 1800s or pre 1923 map, you'll have research done for you, and then the researcher never went and looked down here. They never went down here and looked at this, and they'll be missing one of these maps that are important, right? And the reason is they're going to the GIS network, and the GIS just isn't flagging it. So in the old days, I hate to say it, but I would have to go down to the actual county surveyor's office that was just 1.5 blocks away from my office, and we'd go upstairs and open up the assessor's cadastral index, and then in red pencil they would have all the jobs in there, and then you would see the assessor's map, and the first thing you do is look in the lower left and go, oh, there's the map. So if you look here, you'll see that they have this 1521 referenced. So the assessor's trying to tell you that these lots are shown on that map. And so you're kind of done. Not really. You're still going to look for corner records and record of surveys and anything that's been done. But you're in about 15 seconds. You're kind of 90% done with your research. But I notice that sometimes people miss that, and then you'll tell them about it, and they'll still not do it. It's because they just think, hey, that GIS thing's got everything. It's got everything. But here, decades of work have been done, and they've got it there for you, and you barely have to lift a finger. So I'm just trying to highlight how important it is to look at these assessors maps. And the county of Santa Barbara isn't even as good as some counties. You go to Ventura, and Ventura County has a lot more information on their assessors maps. And in other states, even, they have a lot more. So it's just so critical to look at the assessor's map to get an idea what's going on. The assessor will also do these little things here in pink where it shows that the lots changed since the original vesting map. So what we can do is we can go to the assessor's, the County of Santa Barbara's website. Let's see if I can find it here because I had it up. Okay, so here we are at the surveyor's website. And of course, you're going to go to the interactive map, right? But if you just go to the downloads and resources, and then we take a look at that, PDF we had open, right? So I'm just going to Open that off, open that up. We're going to look and download record map 1521. So if we go maps and surveys, book 15, page 21. This is probably the title sheet. This might be the only sheet. It's so old. This is 1923. That's the only problem with these assessor's maps, is they're a little out of date. Is you're looking at this thinking, oh, May 22nd, 2023. No, that's 1923. So, yeah, it's old. So, we'll flip it. We'll look at this map here. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's looking like our area, right? If we go back to the assessor's map, looks very similar. And we're looking, we'll just pick a lot, let's just say 43. So let's see if I can highlight this. So here's 43, right? Boy, that's hard to see, guys. Sorry about that. Don't know why it's so light, but I'll figure out how to fix it later. So there it is. And so we're done with the research, basically. Like I said, I say we're done. I know we're not done, but you've nailed the original vesting map. So if you're surveying lot 43, you've got it. You've got the original map. Now we're just going to figure out, of course, what else has gone on here, right? That's all we're going to do. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll go back to that interactive survey information system. And of course you gotta, for some reason you gotta click it, like that was once, twice, 3 times to get to the interactive map. So I didn't create this system, I just use it. And then what you can do is search by address or APN. So we'll just plug in an address just to save ourselves some pain of trying to figure out the APN randomly. So I'm going to plug in the address. So we got an address, we're zoomed in, and the computer's acting a little slow, but it's the server. So you can just go to the layers, and I like to put on the parcels assessor lines. And then what you can do is do corner records, condo, parcel map, map book, record of survey, discontinued index. That's the old one. So in the early 90s when I was working at or late 90s when I was working at the county of Santa Barbara, that's the index I would be looking at. So here we are in this area, and we've got the original vesting map, which we need. Now what we can do is we can click and do more research and get anything that's happened new. And for instance, there's the map, so you would happen to have found it this time had you done it this way. And but like I said, it's not always the case, and you'd be surprised how many times I've seen it. This is just a geodetic survey control, so we don't really need that for what we're doing. Here's a record of survey that was done, right? So this is useful, right? So now, let's say you were doing this lot here, 43, you're like, it doesn't look like they found anything there. That's useful information, right? Like, not found, not found, not found, not found. If you're doing lot 40, though, they've got this whole line surveyed and established, and they found that corner. and this one they didn't find. See, so it's telling you information you need to properly estimate the boundary. So now you know that you're probably going to have to do a corner record to set this corner. To do this one, you're probably going to have to do a lot more work. But somebody's done some work in here, and it means that a survey done in 2005, these monuments have a high probability of being there versus 1923, right? Anyway, that's just how you do research in Santa Barbara County. This isn't supposed to be super comprehensive. One thing I will show you, though, is this discontinued index. So in the old days, this is all we had, right? And then what you would do is this was like a Mylar overlay over the assessor's map. So see how it says shows 173.52, but it doesn't show that new survey because this is discontinued. But this older overlay will have a lot of useful information on it that sometimes doesn't show up in the GIS network. And sometimes people don't understand that, especially if they're very much into technology. But just remember, technology is a tool, and somebody had to operate the technology to, and one of them happened to work for me, so I know this, is you sit there and you look at this old index and you input the data from the old index into the new technology. So what happens if that person made a mistake? What if they highlighted something and there was a phone call and they never actually finished putting it in? Or they forgot to put something in? You know, there's the human factor. So sometimes the GIS network won't have stuff that shows up on here. And the other thing you have to do is when you pull the maps, you got to look at the surveyor's references, and he'll have stuff in there that isn't on this old index or the GIS network. So those are critical things that need to be done when you're doing research. I just thought I'd share that. Mostly it's the mindset of look at the assessor's map first, get those vesting maps first. A lot of your research is done. Then go into the GIS network and do it. And even though in this instance it showed up easy, there's been dozens and dozens of times where that vesting map is a lot older than the 1920s, and as a result doesn't show up in the GIS system. And they're very useful. They're good to know. You know, just look in Santa Ynez or Los Olivos, and a lot of times those maps won't show up in that GIS system. All right, thanks guys. Stay busy out there.